Hello there and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while and I've been anxious to provide some new material, so glad to be back and send something out to you guys. So, no, it's not the M2 competition. I'm in the second car, my new 2019 X1, the all-wheel drive X1. And after having it for a few months, I thought it would be worthwhile to put together some stuff on the car because I actually found it's been a very good experience so far. And I thought it would be worth sharing some of the features with you guys if you're looking for a second car, and it seems almost everybody is, for the significant other or for personal utility. The car has been really great. I'll put up the Monroney sticker so you guys can see what options I've chosen for the car. And it was rather interesting choosing options for the car. I think most of you know that you can choose a car like this with an M Sport kind of option. The M Sport option on this car I thought added about $4,000 to the sticker. And when I tried to investigate why it added $4,000 to the sticker, most of the changes seemed to be really cosmetic. I was surprised that you don't get a bigger engine, you don't get seats, you don't get a fancy suspension, you don't get adjustable this or that. You get the car with some blacked out trim, basically. So I opted not to get that, saved that money, and interestingly didn't choose a lot of the packages, because a lot of the packages are these, your executive package, your convenience package, your premium package, and they cost a ton of money. I got the convenience package, which added, keyless entry and some of the other features which were worthwhile. But otherwise, I ordered several things a la carte, and there were interesting a la carte options. Starting at the front of the car, you can get adaptive LED headlights for the car as a standalone option in the X1. It's $900, and those of you that have LEDs know how good the LED headlights are over the Xenons. It was really worthwhile, and $900 compared to in a Porsche when it's going to cost you over $2,000 to get adaptive LEDs, actually kind of a bit of a bargain. What was also interesting was to get sport seats. Typically the M-Line cars had sport seats, and that was the only way you could get the sport seats. But you'll see the clip of the interior. I got these sport seats as an option on the car, and it was $400. I think this is the cheapest sport seat option I've ever seen at a BMW, and it's totally worth it. You have adjustable lumbar support and lateral support adjustments, which is really fantastic, and it's a huge surprise. You get the car, opt for the sport seats. What I got on this car, which I wasn't particularly interested in, was the floor mats. You'll see in the pictures, the floor mats are these fancy floor mats that come up the sides. Not only are they all weathered, but they come up the sides. I guess you can make a puddle in the car. These floor mats are $250. It's just ridiculous. But that was the only option I didn't really want on the car. This is an in-stock car, and it seemed fine in the end. The other thing was, instead of getting a cold weather package, I could just get heated seats and a steering wheel. And I think that option was only about $400. And for my significant other, my wife, we gotta have the heated steering wheel and you gotta have the heated seats. Become addicted to these things now, so had to have those. Anyway, some of the things about the car, the 2019 is based on the new front-wheel drive platform versus the rear-wheel drive platform that came in the original car. And if you push the car, you will notice there is some torque steer, but I think that's going to become only apparent to real enthusiasts like us that are maybe driving an M2. Otherwise, you really don't notice it. And what's remarkable is, out of a car like this with 200 odd horsepower in an SUV, you get a 0 to 60 time of about 6 seconds, which is pretty remarkable because You know, back in the 70s when you had the 930 Turbo, the 930 Turbo did a 0 to 60 time in 6 seconds. So now you have the family convenience sedan with a 0 to 60 time of 6 seconds. Well, the most remarkable thing about that time is that is coupled with a motor and a platform that is going to deliver highway mileage of 30 miles per gallon. And around town, you know the way I drive the cars, this car is getting 20 miles per gallon. And it's got a 16-gallon tank compared to the M2's 12-gallon tank. The result, this car has a range of nearly 400 miles out of a tank. It's just remarkable, 400-mile range. This is not a diesel, this is a normal gas-powered car with a 400-mile range between stops. It's amazing, kind of. And I mean, if you get on the highway and you're getting 30 miles per gallon, the range is incredible. So a lot of the things you get in this car, which it's been kind of surprising, but I will go to as you look at it, besides the adaptive LEDs, the interior is nicely appointed. The dash, you get the backlit LED display just like on the M2 competition. Finally, with the larger speedometer readout in digital when you select that, something they finally went to in 2019 and hadn't done before. Porsche managed to do that 10 years ago at VAG. So the display is very nice. The polished black trim, I cleaned this up for some of the pictures. Actually cleaned up pretty well and didn't show any scratches yet, but it's still early. What was a little bizarre is that because I didn't opt for the technology package, it does have navigation included standard. So I thought, terrific. Don't even have to select for a package to get the navigation. However, when you look at the map on the navigation, it doesn't use the full display. I couldn't believe it. Apparently this is the business navigation. So the business navigation truncates the display instead of using the full display. Bizarre, but I think, as most of us do, we're using phones and Google Maps or Waze for navigation, so I really don't see the need. However, I will say on the 2019s, the voice recognition is significantly better than it ever was. I typically put in navigation, destination, tell the navigation where you want to go in the city, and the interpretation has been really, really excellent. It's a bit of a surprise, but it has performed very well. What I also didn't select in the car was a leather interior. I think if you looked at the pictures as I was showing the sport seats, the finish looks pretty nice, but it's the Sensatec interior, it's not the leather. The leather interior is about a $1,200 or $1,400 additional option. And actually the vinyl feels more supple than the leather. I don't think it'll breathe quite as much during the summer, but at the moment it seems like it's pretty good. It's very comfortable, and on the sports seat it makes for a really comfortable interior. Of course, there's plenty of room in the back. The car really has adequate space. The dimensions of this X1, the 2019, are about equal to the dimensions of the car I returned, a 2016 X3. The X3 grew by a couple inches. The X1 grew by some dimension as well, so that the X1 is about the same size as the X3 was. What you can look at in a picture is even the standard wheels have that really neat triple that Y-spoke wheel. That is the standard wheel. It is a really nice looking wheel. And instead of going the sport option, I just went the standard option for that wheel, and comes with a 225/50/18 tire, which we will all scoff at as being a very narrow, very high profile tire. I gotta tell you, with a higher profile tire, the ride comfort and how quiet the car is now, it's perfect for this kind of car. I was a little surprised, but the handling is still pretty decent. And I think the wheels look sharp, and I've hit some pretty major potholes with these wheels and not had any issues with the tires. What people probably don't know, another factor, is if you want, for one of the first times I've seen with BMW, you can opt for the car without run flats. And it's $100. For $100, you can get non-run flat tires and a space saver spare. So if you're an enthusiast, you know when you have a flat tire you have to change it, don't take the run flats. They'll be cheaper to replace. The car will be quieter, handle better, and it'll be cheap. Well, as I said, it'll be cheaper to replace the tires, but I mean, you can get better tires for less money and enjoy the car more. I really, really wanted to get that, but then thought twice, because these days, I think everybody just gets a flat and just continues to drive as if the car is going to be okay, because they're so used to run flats. In fact, my dealer basically said every car they order with the run flats. So you'd have to special order a car, but I think it's worthwhile to get it, and for $100, it's a great thing to have. I know people have opted to have kind of spares in the car for added for $100, but you can order it straight from the factory now, and it's an interesting option to get. And you may not even know what's part of the option checklist until you really go into all the menus, so that's something that would be curious for people. What I've also enjoyed about the car is I was surprised. You go into the tailgate and there was a card in the tailgate. It has an automatic tailgate release, just like Ford put in cars probably 10 years ago. You can kick your foot underneath the bumper and it opens the tailgate. Similarly, while you're holding packages, just kick under the tailgate and it will close the tailgate, beeping a warning and flashing the lights as it's going down to warn you that it's coming down. So it will not come down if you're in close proximity to the trunk, but otherwise it just simply lowers itself. A great, pretty basic innovation. One of the things that was funny was that I have a set of roof racks for from the 2016 X3. Interestingly, the 2016 roof racks fit on a 2019 X1. Exact same roof rail spacing. That's a little bit of an indication to you what the car dimensions are like. And as I drive around town here, the handling is remarkably good. It's nice. And what really happened from 2016, and if you heard my videos on the M2, the 2017 M2, the electric steering was horrible. 2019 car, even in this X1, the electric steering is greatly improved. It really comes back to center. If you see when I do this, old electric steering did not do this at all. This actually has very nice weight in the comfort mode, so it has a hefty feel. It really allows for comfortable driving on the highway. If you pull out of your lane slightly, it just requires the least bit of pressure to recenter the wheel. It's just such a huge improvement. And our 2016 X3 was probably one of the earlier versions of electric steering. It was horrible, horrible car to drive on the highway. So this has been a huge benefit. I think combined with the tire aspect ratio, the steering, and maybe more insulation, the car is so much quieter than that X3 was. And of course, it's a bit quieter than the M2, of course, but really comparing apples and oranges there. But nevertheless, it's interesting to choose, you know, kind of a very basic car, yet get a lot of benefits that could be appealing to, you know, a more sports-minded owner, like somebody that owns an M2, to look for a second car and probably get pretty decent satisfaction out of a car like this. I'll even add something new to the channel today. The wrist shot, in case everybody has an interest, wearing the 1940s vintage Heuer chronograph triple date. It's a bit of a classic watch, not like I'm usually wearing, but it was my father's. It's an interesting piece for me, and quite a vintage piece for those that have that interest. Most of us car guys seem to have an interest in watches as well, so I thought I might add that to the channel for a little variety. So easy to drive, even my 16-year-old daughter can drive it. So smooth. Easy to handle. Quiet. I hope you've enjoyed this brief review of the 2019 BMW X1. Hope you might give it some consideration when you're looking for a second car. I was happy that we downsized from an X3, actually really maintaining the same size car. I know it's a bit different. Look forward to providing some new material on the M2 competition. I have some ideas in mind that I think will be interesting for everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this. Appreciate the support on the channel, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye for now.